becoming off a bit of a roller coaster. We've had some highs, like that dominant two-legged victory in the J-League Cup quarterfinals, where we showed our quality over Mid-Hollyhock, especially with Sochia and Steamer stepping up big time. But then, that sting from Nero's 3-2 loss to Kashiwa Reysol really brought us back down to earth. We created the chances, had the XG on our side, but defensive errors cost us. Now, it's all eyes on the big one. Kawasaki Frontale. Just 1 point separates us at the top of J1, and this clash could be a real title decider. It's going to be electric, and we know they bring the A-game. We've got to be clinical, stay disciplined at the back, and make every moment count. We're ready, and the boys are fired up. Stay tuned. This is the match that could define our season.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 19 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with Omiya Ardija in J1 over in Japan. I hope you're doing well, and coming up today we've got a top of the table clash relatively late here in the J1 season. First versus second only separated by 1 point. We host Kawasaki Frontale, hopefully can pick up a win and finally try and actually grab a hold of the J1 and try and finish it off here and pick up a league title this season here in our first one in the top flight with the Red Squirrels. So if you're looking forward to that, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, all that good stuff. But yesterday we played a Emperor's Cup quarterfinal, and that was against Albrecht Nagata. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Got quite fortunate, I felt like, in that game. They lost their goalkeeper in extra time, where there were no extra subs given for extra time. So it did mean, even though we probably should have got the job done there before it went to penalties, that kind of helped us out there, picking up a win 5-3 from the spot. So we've made our way through to the semi-finals of that Emperor's Cup. And also, since you were last here, we did get past Mito Hollyhock. That's not too surprising considering they're all the way down in J3, albeit are doing a decent job. But 2-2-0 wins over those guys does mean that we've made our way through to the semi-finals of the J-League Cup as well. And we are actually on a pretty strong side of the draw for that competition, because in the semis, we take on the Kashima Antlers. Other side of the draw, Jubilo Awada from J2 against Vissel Kobe down near the relegation zone of J1. So we can get past the Kashima Antlers over 2 legs, when really we should be picking up that League Cup if we can get past Kashima. To be fair, that's a team that we haven't bet so far in this save. They beat us last year early in the Emperor's Cup back when we were in J2, and earlier this season we drew with them in the J1. But we can definitely beat those teams on the other side of the draw. So look, a good chance here to pick up a League Cup based on our current position in the J1. Semi-finals of the Emperor's Cup, that might be a little bit tougher, but we are again on the tougher side of the draw. If we get past the Vispa Fukuoka that time in a one-off game, we'll take on one of FC Tokyo or Tokyo Verdy or Kashiwa Reysol, those guys still to play. We're currently on here for a treble in our first season in the J1, albeit our form in the J1 since yesterday hasn't actually been that good. First up, probably a bit expected considering the game before did go to penalties. We drew with Tokyo Verdy. It was a bit frustrating considering we took the lead twice in this game through Kinoshita, but unfortunately conceded right off the back of that through Shota Fujio as well as Marcos. That was frustrating. We dropped points there to Tokyo Verdy, but as I said, a little bit expected with that previous game having gone to penalties. The 3-2 loss to Kashiwa Reysol though, that's one I'm a bit filthy about. We got off to a horrible start in this game. An own goal to Figueiredo, you might have seen it during the intro for this episode. He probably didn't even need to try and hit it clear because I'm not sure the ball was actually going to cross the line. He put it into the back of his own net. Only a few minutes later, they make it 2-0. We got a goal back early in the second half through Yokotomo, one of 5 players we brought on at half-time. But off the back of that, not much happened. And eventually, they grabbed a pretty fortunate third goal for a deflection at the 90-minute mark. We then went down the other end and scored one through Lee Hyun-ju, but really just a consolation goal. It felt like a 2-1 game where the own goal was costly there by Sebastian Figueiredo, and also Higashi also had a bit of a shocker there. Some poor performances do mean Kashiwa Reysol, they might be becoming another bogey team like Consadole Sapporo for us here up in the J1, considering they beat us early this season, also in the J1. Once I find that one, that was the game that we bottled very hard. And also, they did beat us in one leg of that J-League Cup round of 16, but thankfully, we got the job done by a big enough margin in the first league. So they've actually beaten us 3 times so far this season. That could make things interesting if we do meet them in that Emperor's Cup final. But it does mean that our gap on top of the J1 going into the top of the table clash it has closed. Probably actually could have come back for that Kashiwa Racehall game. If they weren't all the way down in 9th, I probably would have, because I thought that was a game that we could win, but unfortunately, we dropped points there. To be fair, the previous result, where we did drop points against Tokyo Verdy, didn't actually end up being too bad. I'm just going back to find it here, a 2-all draw. But going forward to the day, after we did drop those points, some really good results for us here. Kawasaki Frontale got beaten, and also Albirex Niigata, they were held to a draw by Vissel Kobe, as were Avispa Fukuoka by Cerezo Osaka. So that first result, not actually too bad, kind of felt like a point gained, but that loss to Kashiwa Racehall, that was a bit more costly, as Kawasaki Frontale picked up a 2-1 win later that day over JEF United Chiba, and the day prior, Albirex Niigata Consadole Sapporo, they picked up wins. To be fair, Avispa Fukuoka, they dropped points yet again, but that's the reason our gap has gone down to just 1 point on top, 3 points further back to Albirex and Consadole. They are 5 points behind us. It was still quite tight up there. It'd also probably include Avispa Fukuoka in that title race, but Kota Sangadown might be struggling, 10 points behind with only 8 games left in their season, but currently just struggling to take hold of this J1 when the chance is given to us to just grab a bit of a nice gap on top of the league. Hopefully we can do it here in this game we're going to play in today's episode against Kawasaki Frontale, who lead that chasing pack in behind us. To be fair, we've played these guys a couple of times so far this season and picked up wins over them. Also, currently they're actually making their way through the group stage of the AFC Champions League, so that can impact them late in this title race, albeit the fact that we are still alive in both cup competitions might kind of give us that same situation. We'll just go over to the data hub so we can show you what's happened so far. We have taken this team on and we've picked up wins. 2-0 in the J-League earlier this season, that one away from home, and 2-1 in the Emperor's Cup 4th round, that one also away from home. So based on that, really this is a team we have the wood over so far here with the Red Squirrels. Hopefully that'll continue. We can get a 4-point gap over them going into our last 8 games of the season. To be fair, one of those other teams in behind could keep that gap a little bit less, but big chance for us here to just give ourselves room for one slip up in our run home in the J1. Thankfully no injury concerns going to this game. A couple of squad players coming back from recent injuries, but nothing that does affect our first choice 11, albeit Saito is out with a suspension. He got a yellow card in that previous game against Kashiwa, so it does mean Ohashi comes in defensive midfield, but a nicely freshened first 11 off the back of giving our squad players a go in that tie against Mito Hollyhock. In that J-League Cup quarter-final, one of the reasons that result against Kashiwa Racehall was a little bit disappointing with our first 11 coming back in for that game, but hopefully we can get back into winning form in this big top-of-the-table clash against Kawasaki Frontale. And here are the team sheets for this top-of-the-table clash. In today's episode, big chance for us here to finally grab a decent gap on top of the J1. As I said earlier, we've just gone with one change. Ohashi comes in for the suspended Saito. There are Kawasaki Frontale starting to find some form recently in competitions like the AFC Champions League with a win over the Central Coast Mariners. In the group stage, they're going with a 4-2-3-1. But there's the table. Big game this one, with only 8 games left in the season. Off the back of this, so hopefully with this being our first clash at home against these guys, we can pick up a win and stretch that gap back out to 4 points over them, albeit the first highlight here is a throw-in for them here inside our half. Some good work here to shift this onto the left-hand side. Gomez gets inside the box and Fuki Yamada brings him down. Oh boy, we are starting to slightly bowl this here with the Red Squirrels. To be fair, we were expected to finish 19th in the league, so not too sure we can call it a bottle job, but still, we've been doing really well this season. Maybe cup football is going to catch up with us. It's a clear penalty, and Oda puts that one away in the top right corner. Higashi goes the wrong way, to be fair. Very well taken penalty into the top right corner. Not too sure he would have saved that, even if he did go the right way, but poor work there from Yamada, giving away an early penalty, and we're 1-0 down. And we have to wait a good 20 minutes for the next highlight of this game. Thankfully this time a free kick in our favour, but that's a poor pass there. Just going to see who that was. Ohashi's not doing too well so far coming in for the suspended Saito. Thankfully, good tackle there. I think that was from Matsumoto. In fact, it might have been Core. Either way, one of our centre-backs, and we get that ball back. Now, Lee Hyun-ju starts to attack here from the halfway line, just cuts in field, takes on his man, does quite well, pulls that one back for Ohashi, who puts it away in the bottom right corner. Lee Hyun-ju with a wonderful run there from just inside of his own half, and Ohashi, who gave the ball away earlier in that highlight, makes up for it there with a good first time finish. But this was all the work here of Lee Hyun-ju off the back of one of our centre-backs winning that ball for us there, while Kawasaki Frontale were on the attack, and thankfully, second highlight of the game, we score a goal so far. Both teams with just one shot, both on target, and they've put that away, and we have a 1-1 scoreline. FC Tokyo beating Consadole Sapporo. That might help us out as well as another highlight starts here. A throw into us pretty much bang on the halfway line down our right-hand side. We play it there, core up to Dimas. Now Lee Hyun-ju finds Kinoshita, who's through and puts it away in the bottom left corner. Let's just hope that he stayed on side, but I'm pretty sure he did. Not too sure about, I think it would have been Yamada, but the goals awarded a quick fire double, and Lee Hyun-ju gets the assist for both. He's pulling the strings out there like a you-know-what. It's a wonderful ball. I think actually Yamada as well was onside, so we had two options. Kinoshita, though, was a bit further forward. He beats Ito there, just putting that inside of that left-hand upright. Here's the pass again, offside lines, not even close there to anyone being in an offside position, and we go from 1-0 down to being 2-1 in front. And we're just now way here into 3 minutes of added time in the first half so far. Every shot on target in this game has been a goal. Late highlight here. It is a free kick to Kawasaki Frontale. Finally, a shot that's not on target, to be fair. Looks like we also had one late there in that first half, but there's a really good fight back from us there after that penalty that Yamada did give away. Kanade's picked up a yellow card very deep as well into that half on a 6.5. Probably going to take him off here for Suzuki. Off of the bench, of course, our new signing, Pal Fernando, he cannot play this game, of course, because we only have 5 foreigners in our squad. He can come in when Kanade needs a rest, but Suzuki, he will stay on the bench. But I think it's the only sub we need going in to the second half, and fought back nicely to hold a 2-1 lead. And only 5 minutes into the second half, I think we're going to be forced here into an early sub. Calls on a yellow card, doing relatively well out there for us on a 6.7, but probably a good idea to play things safe. Urakami can come on for him, still 2-1 in front. And only a few minutes off the back of that sub, there is a free kick here. Dangerous area to Kawahara here for Kawasaki. Frontale puts it away as well. Into the top right corner, Higashi can't save that one. That makes it 2-2. I can see out there a couple of players down our right-hand side on some poor ratings. We might take them off while we've got the chance, but that is a wonderful free kick. Unfortunately, set pieces doing us so far a penalty, and that free kick to Nabe at right back, and Yamada can come off for Yokotomo. To be fair, Figueiredo in some pretty average form at the moment off the back of that Kashiwa Racehole game, but a good free kick makes it 2-2. And just about to sneak our way here into the last 20 minutes of this game, even Dimas has gone down to a red heart, but I was playing a different sub because the Muzu at left wing, probably having his worst game for us so far here. And Omiya Ardija, he's on a 6.4, so let's take him off here for Kabayama. Hopefully Dimas can still do a job on that deep red heart. To be fair, has scored a few important goals for us late in games so far this season. Hopefully that might be the case even if he's a little bit knackered. Also, annoyingly, Suzuki picked up a yellow card pretty early in the second half after we subbed him on for Konade. But so far this game, not up too much off the back of that free kick that they did put away Kawasaki Frontale. And the only highlight we've seen so far, albeit we eventually get another one here in the 87th minute. Try and play a ball over the top there. He gets cut out. Now Lee Hyun-ju, he passes the ball forward there to Yokotomo. We try and put that one into the mixer for Kinoshita. It gets headed clear out to the man on yellow in Suzuki. Dimas plays that one back there to Urakami. He goes back out there to Nabe. Thankfully, that ball just finds him. Yokotomo, he cuts inside, will take on a shot. Unfortunately, though, that one gets deflected and it goes out for a corner, which Lee Hyun-ju will take. To be fair, he set up both our goals so far. Can he do a third? We won't find out because we don't even see the corner as we make our way into 6 minutes of added time. Unfortunately, though, looks like this one is going to be a little bit of a ball draw. Not many highlights, which I wasn't hoping for considering this is the only game in today's episode. We have more shots overall. They have more on target, so I suppose a 2-2 draw is fair, but XG, a lot of these came from that penalty we gave away early. So currently, just kind of shooting ourselves in the foot here a little bit at the Red Squirrels with some bad mistakes. Yamada in that game giving away an early penalty in the previous game. Figueiredo with the own goal, and it's costing us points as well, albeit it should be enough for us to stay on top of the J1. It's not a terrible result, but a win would have been a heck of a lot better as we still hold a 1-point lead over Kawasaki Frontale. Consadole Sapporo, they pick up in the end a 4-1 win over FC Tokyo, so close the gap to only 3 points behind us. It's getting quite tight now at the top of the J1 off the back of that 2-2 draw. So another frustrating result for us there in the J1. That's been the theme off the back of yesterday's episode. It continues there with a 2-2 draw, albeit results the day after do help us out a little bit. The gaps up the top, not quite as close as they could have been, because of Avispa Fukuoka, they beat Albirex Niigata 5-2, so it does mean that it's still only 1 point back to second, 3 points back to third, and then 5 points back to fourth and fifth. Koda you'd think with that extra game they've played might be a bit too far back, so I think the top 5 currently look like they might be fighting out the title as long as we continue to pick up the points in games that we should, because if we have a look at our run home, it's not too bad. Next up, Seileizo Osaka in 17th away from home, but still, that's a game we should be getting maximum points from, as is probably FC Tokyo at home, albeit they're in 9th, just like Kashiwa Reysol were. Then we get into cup football. We'll probably come back for that at the start of next week, play that semi-final against the Avispa Fukuoka in the first leg of our J-League Cup semi against the Kashima Antlers, before the second leg is followed by a clash with Albirex Niigata, which is easily our toughest game left in the season. After that, we take on bottom of league Yokohama at home. That should be 3 points. Kashima away could be interesting, but hopefully can at least get something out of that before we wrap things up with Gumbo Osaka at home. Yokohama F Marinos away, those guys not doing that well this season. And the final day, hopefully won't get that far, but a home derby, because that could be a bit tricky on the final day, but really taking on a lot of teams there not in the title fights. Hopefully we can make the most of that and pick up the J1 here, hold on to that slight lead we've got on top, and also do a decent job in those cup semi-finals we'll get stuck into at the start of next week. Just going back to the J1, and we'll have a look at the runs home for the other teams in the J1, starting off with Kawasaki Frontale, considering they're just a point behind us. As I said, they're starting to get stuck into the group stage of the AFC Champions League, which could just complicate things a little bit for those guys, but Shimizu S-Pulse and Shonan Bellmere, as well as Tokyo Verdy, should be pretty easy wins for them. Then Kashiwa Reysol away, we know how tricky that can be. Hopefully they can take some points off, then off they get Kaido Sanga. That could be tricky, and they end the season with Seileizo Osaka, FC Tokyo, and their last game, Albirex Niigata. That's quite a good one for us. There's a good chance that one of those two teams chasing us will drop points on that final match day. We'll go down one more spot here on the J1. That's Consadole Sapporo. Let's just have a quick look if they take on anyone big in their last couple of games. Next game they do, they take on Albirex Niigata away, so that could be quite a big game. If one of those two teams loses that one, might put them behind the 8 ball in terms of that chase. For the J1, they also take on some decent teams in the month of October in the Kashima Antlers, as well as Gumbo Osaka, but really it looks like their toughest games do come in amongst the next 4, going back to 4th on the table. Albirex Niigata, as we've just seen, they have some tough games coming up. They take us on, as well as Consadole Sapporo, and on the final day they've got Kawasaki Frontale, so they really are going to need to win some clutch games if they want to finish on top of the J1. And the other team who might still be in the fight of Avispa Fukuoka, let's check out their schedule. They've got us, but that is an Emperor's Cup. Kashima's coming up for them in 2 games' time. Apart from that, though, until Koda Sanga on the final match day, their run home looks pretty okay. So Avispa Fukuoka might be a sneaky chance there of jumping above quite a few teams, but it's fair to say our run home not too bad in comparison to a lot of the teams who have to take each other on. So hopefully that might work in our favour. Could also work in favour, though, of Avispa Fukuoka, looking at that draw that those guys do have. But hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, even though it was just a draw to all there in a top of the table clash against Kawasaki Frontale. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said, start of next week, we'll start to slowly make our way through the remainder of this season, especially if we've got some cup finals and that J1 does remain quite tight. We'll skip over Seileizo Osaka and FC Tokyo, because really those are 2 games that we should be winning, fingers crossed, unlike what happened off the back of today's episode. We'll get stuck in to the semi-finals of the Cup. As I said, we'll start with Avispa Fukuoka in the Emperor's Cup, and also play that first leg in the J-League Cup against the Kashima Antlers. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.